Yugioh is not expensive. For people playing in the competitive scene, you don't need to pay a lot of money to do well at an event. You don't need to pay, you don't necessarily need to pick the deck that's the most expensive to try to do well at your event. What I mean by this is usually there are decks that are either very, very unique or they're quote unquote the best decks from what we see on YouTube, and sure, also representation, but keep in mind, if a deck is looked at to be the best deck, a lot of people will play the deck, so it will be overly represented. So therefore, just by sheer variance, it's going to have more tops than the other decks. And of course, the deck being decently good, it helps. But I'm here to argue that you don't need to make Yu-Gi-Oh! An expensive game. If you want to make the choice to play that best deck and learn how to play that best deck, then yeah, you're gonna have to pay the price. You're gonna have to pay for those expensive 3 of spell cards and whatever cards you need. But if your goal is just to do well, or like at an event, you could play, there are so many other decks you could play. And especially now that people are saying, this argument came about with Snake Eyes, that all those cards are, even if you want to play the game, you have to pay such a heavy price. If the cards are expensive, I'd rather the cards that are like unique towards a certain deck be expensive, like rather than generic cards. If a card that's, like SP Little Knight, I agree. I think, that is a price that, you're gonna have to pay because that card is extremely broken. Like, you need to have that card. In most decks, right? In most decks. But cards that are like archetype specific, you don't need those cards. And I feel like complaining about it, like if you're not looking to play that deck and you don't like want to play that deck, or it doesn't interest you, or your main goal is just to do well at an event, you don't necessarily need to get those cards. You don't need to play that deck. I remember during full power tier format, tier in my opinion was a tier 0 format. If you weren't playing tier, you were at a disadvantage. With all the Yoshizu cards, the deck was with Kit Kalos, full power, everything. That deck was crazy. But I didn't want to buy 3 planets. I didn't want to buy the Yoshizu cards. I didn't want to buy any of those cards. So what I did was I played Despia. It was just a deck I had. I got 3 structure decks. I picked up some other singles, and I took Despia to 2 regionals. One regional I got 2nd place. The other regional I got 4th. That goes to show you that even in a tier 0 format, you don't have to pay the prime dollar to get those crazy good cards, the best cards, quote unquote, in the format. During the format of Synchro Eldritch, I decided to play Earth Machine. It was just a deck I liked, and a deck that I thought would be good in the format, because you could play Rivalry and Gozen, and I did well. I won a regional. But I'm not just talking about myself. There are so many other profiles you could watch of like people playing Virtual World in like an off format and they get 1st place, right? I think now, especially what Konami has done with all the reprints of broken generic cards, right? We got the Rarity Collection. We got, what did we get? We got Talents, we got Evenlies, we got Lightning Storms, we got all these cards that were kind of hard to get access to before. Now everyone has them, right? It's super easy to have access to those blowout cards, and those cards are good. Those cards are good cards that everyone should be playing. Now, like I said, this deck, the Fire, now the Year of Fire or whatever, that everyone's playing, this expensive, really expensive Fire deck, you don't necessarily need to play that deck. And it's not going to be a tier 0 deck. It's not a tier 0 deck. It might be one of the best decks, sure, but is it going to be tier 0? Is it you play that deck or you lose? No. I think it's better to focus on improving your gameplay, improving your deck building, improving your tech choices in a given format. I think those are way above like the deck that you pick to play and like the money that you're gonna spend. I think that actually is not even an argument, in my opinion, unless it's like a tier 0 deck that you need to play the game. Then yeah, I agree, you need to buy those cards. So I don't know, I see this argument a lot online, and I don't think, I see people arguing that Yu-Gi-Oh is so expensive to play and stuff like that, but they're not even playing meta decks. They're not even meta players. They don't even want those cards. So why are you complaining? And even if you got those cards, you know, you're not gonna play the best. You're not gonna play them the best, right? You're not gonna play them the most optimal way. You're gonna misplay often, stuff like that. So I think it's better to just pick a deck you like and learn it really, really well. Figure out the tech choices of the format, and you'll do much better than if you were gonna save up and trade all your cards to get the top meta cards and try to play the top meta deck. That's my little rant for today. But I think it's pretty important. I mean, it's all over online. I feel like I can't open Twitter or YouTube without seeing a video like that. So focus on your rogue decks. You know, try to play your rogue decks. It's okay. I think even though you think that they're not good, or you know, you see tier list videos on YouTube and they're on the bottom of the list, don't listen to those people. I really don't think you should listen to those people. People, they put Marincess at the bottom of every single tier list video that I see, but it got second place at a regional. How did it do that? How did it get second place at a regional if it's so bad? The guy was just good with the deck. If you're good with the deck, you know the tech choices to play, you don't misplay, you'll do really well. It doesn't matter the format, unless it's a tier 0 format, like I said. Yeah, that's it.